Hi, you guys. Welcome back to an all new episode of Black Girl Can't Cook. Y'all, I am in my home state, Arizona, and I am so fucking excited. Today, I have a writer, a blogger, I want to say an intuitive, and just really in her energy, a beautiful soul. Please welcome Madie. Oh, God, Madie, please help me with your last name. Schlagenhaft?
Schlagenhaft.
Schlagenhaft.
Yes, you got it.
We did it, Joe. Guys, please welcome Madie Schlagenhaft to the pod.
So excited. So happy to be here.
Madie, I love to start the episode with, how are you? How's your heart today? Happy Saturday, happy Memorial Day weekend. How are you?
I'm actually doing really good. We're just having like a chill weekend at home. My husband made me get up early this morning and go to a crazy CrossFit workout with him. So now we're doing what I want the rest of the weekend, which is relaxing by the pool and enjoying the sun. And yeah, so
I
it'll
love
be
it.
a good weekend.
That's good. And isn't it great? You just got the workout out the way, and I'm with you, sis. In the sun, in the pool, downtime.
Yes.
I feel like
Yeah.
with the world opening back up and everything, it's just so good to pause, like for yourself, and just do the things you love. It's so, I feel like,
Mhm.
crucial now as we go into summer, the next
Yeah.
season.
Yeah, just, taking the baby steps back into socializing and whatever that looks like for you and your comfort levels and everything. But I'm just happy to be, I've always been kind of a homebody and enjoyed time with my husband. And, that's just what we're going to keep doing for a little while.
Love it. Wait, so tell me, how was the pandemic? Because, like me, I feel like there's some unicorns who really loved the time at home with their partner, the pause on the whole world, really like trying to build a stronger foundation in love. What was that like? And yeah.
Yeah. So I'm one of those people. I really thrived in the pandemic. Or not the pandemic, but in the quarantine aspect of everything. It actually gave me an opportunity to get out of a job that was sucking the soul out of my life. Like just, I left that and immediately just things started changing for me. And I was able to dive into my spirituality, into my body image struggles, into yoga. I completely changed, like I flipped my life around in this time, just having the space to explore who I am as a person, because so many of us were not given that before. We just you graduate high school, you do what you got to do to survive, and then you're like thrown into the adulting. And all of a sudden, we're given this span of like a year to just sit and figure ourselves out and like be with ourselves. And that was it's really honestly changed my life.
Madie, beautiful, so fucking beautiful, and I agree. Was what a time, listeners. Like, I can relate to you too. I was in a soul sucking job and kind of at that crossroads where I'm just playing it safe to like make the money and have that New York life, but just for the world to pause, for me to be able to leave that toxic environment and, like you said, go inward, look at my body image issues, look at my relationship to myself. It was, Madie, same. It was a beautiful time. And I was journaling so much. Like, the pandemic single-handedly changed my life. And I agree with you too, spiritually and energetically. I'm just so much closer to my soul's purpose and like the universe's like beautiful powers and God's powers, you know?
Yeah. And the other thing is like having that time to yourself while you are simultaneously like every time you open your phone being just inundated with tragedy, the Black Lives Matter movement, the unrest in the government,
The
like everything
election,
just
girl,
being
all of it.
exactly like everything was so tumultuous in my heart and in my soul. And I actually had to like find peace and comfort and like look in myself and see where I as a person have implicit bias, where I can do better, where I can speak up more, like all of that kind of stuff, like questioning. I just can't imagine having gone through all of that and also having to have had, my full-time job on top of it and like being miserable and sad and unhappy. Like it it was incredible, like such a hard time, but such a beautiful time for growth too. Like
Oh my,
it was just crazy.
it's just crazy. No, and I love that you touched a point that, I mean, we don't want to skim through the part, and I wonder like maybe what the percentage is, but for a lot of people, this was a devastating time, a devastating year. And yeah, the government, the election, racial inequality, just all of the things. And I like what you said too. Like, you really had to take time just to be okay and look at, yes, your implicit bias, shit, my implicit bias on myself, on my own race, and just really think, I was like, where did these thoughts get implanted? And now that everything, well, listeners, when it felt like the world was literally on fire, because in New York, we would say that because it just felt like, what? So when
Oh yeah.
that was happening, I had to really look at well, what role do I play? Because I'm here, I'm in Mother Earth, and we all play a role. And I really love that you identified as that too, as a white woman, because I think
Mhm.
all people who aren't people of color, listeners, just, you can just take ownership. And that's just where you start. It's not about blame or whatever, but it's just taking
Mhm.
ownership for your space and who you are.
Well, and also it's not comfortable to take ownership. Like I, as a white person, it's not supposed to feel good, but you know what? You have to take it. You have to take that on. As a white person, there is stuff that I experience that you don't experience, and vice versa. And that's just the facts of life. Like people trying to say that that doesn't exist, it just does. And
It's
that's the first thing. And that was something huge that because I grew up in a really conservative family. A lot of my family is on a side of the issue that I wish they weren't on. And it took and I've never considered myself to be a racist person or whatever, but just it's that extra level of understanding and compassion and oh my God, this has got to change, that really lit the fire under my ass.
yeah, so
So yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, and I think
And
too, mhm.
I was just going to say, I think it's hard to claim to be an energetically balanced person when you are ignoring a huge energetic source of toxicity in the world
Girl,
and in our country.
and I know you can agree. All the shit that we've read in the podcast we listened to, like listeners, last year, and we won't name the last president, the amount of darkness that has literally been brought up to our everyday surface. I don't care if you're in Arizona, New York, Wyoming, into our everyday surfaces. It's traumatic. And we see this evil and this capitalism, white supremacy. We see this society, and I love what you said too. It's so hard to take ownership. Like, bitch,
Mm-hmm.
mic drop. It is so hard. Even like when I get in a relationship or a relationship and I have a problem or a conflict or a thing with a friend, like taking ownership for my shit. It's supposed to be uncomfortable. It's like you telling your ego, it ain't it. Like,
Exactly. And your ego wants to fight it. Your ego wants to fight like hell for you to stay exactly where you are. And it's like, in order for us to grow, we got to deal with
we
this.
gotta
And
do
it
it.
sucks.
And I do want to say, I don't know, can you relate? I last year during the pandemic and still like the loss, the anxiety still happening, I found a passion for just taking care of myself. And like, it's like, Madie, it's like the light switch. And coming from, lots of body image issues and some
Mm.
toxic eating disorder patterns, it's like the light switch. And it was like, oh, wait, when I take care of myself, I'm a better daughter, a better partner, a better friend. And overall, I feel like a better human being, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Last year, in the last year, I really had to take a look at the things that I was pressuring myself to do because I felt like I should versus what I actually want to be doing and how that feels and the way that it reflects in my body and in my mood and in the way that I treat other people. Like for instance, before all this happened, I would force myself to go to the gym every day because I thought I had to, because that's what you did to be healthy. And my body literally held on to extra weight because it didn't feel happy or safe. And it felt stressed. And my mood was, I like just so many things that I had to just let the fuck go of and trust that my intuition, my inner knowing would lead me to exactly where I needed to be. So I let go of going to the gym every day. I started doing yoga, which before this, I wouldn't have been like, oh, yoga is an exercise, but it's so good for your
Girl,
soul and your body. And it makes you strong. And,
so strong mentally
um,
and physically.
exactly. And like taking a bath in the morning instead of going for a walk if I want to, or eating what the fuck ever I want to, just letting go of the shoulds and things that I think I need to be doing to be a
Mhm.
certain way and just just being led by my soul. I don't know.
Truly,
I
truly.
kind of
No, no, no. You touched
tangent there, but
No, you touched on so many incredible topics, and we're going to get into the body image stuff, but I love what you said. It was just so head on and just, you are your intuition, listeners. The best thing you can do for yourself is get in touch with your intuition. It will not steer you wrong. And isn't it funny? Like your body only wants to keep you alive and healthy. And like you said, it kept on to that weight. It was like, no, 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 no. And I love you for being honest with us today because listeners, like in the beginning of the pandemic, wasn't it so pressured everywhere? It's like you need to be working out, you need to be downloading fitness apps, you need to be doing this. It was so toxic. And especially as a Black person, I'm like, how can I like move my body? It was so hard for me to get in touch with that. And oh my God, to show up.
Just I mean, there was really, it felt like there was no space for the trauma that was happening. It was like, okay, well, you're home, you better be doing something. It's like, what if I don't want to do anything? What if I need to like sit in my room and just be in my bed and be comfortable and feel safe and nurtured and held? Like in a time when we can't physically reach out and hold each other, I need to be able to hold myself, and I need to be able to, get on my phone for a minute without being inundated with like, you need to be on the fitness apps and you need to be dieting and you have all this time to better yourself. I'm like, I am literally just trying to survive the day.
And I fucking A. And where do you think that comes from? Why are we such a society? We don't want to, well, oh my God, we don't want to process trauma. We don't want to
No.
eat. Even now, the world is like, bah, 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 back open. And it's like, can we sit down? This year has been wild. Like even January, girl, like y'all. So I wonder, I don't have an answer, but it's so, I think we can't process the trauma because maybe we're so ashamed of it. And we know the system is rigged and stuff and it won't help us. I mean, shit, we were in America and they did nothing during a global pandemic. Like
Mhm.
when you see what like London, Germany, what you see what other places, countries did, Canada for their people and what we're left with. Oh, it makes sense why crime is rising. People are home, abuse is up the chart. Like this makes sense because the trauma we just can't process and then we can't
Yeah.
heal. It's like fucked up.
It's it's so generational is the word that I want to use. Like
Oh,
it
say it again.
stems from yeah, it stems from literally our roots, our American roots, just like the shit that we hid under the rug to get to where we are now, and like what our country is, the back of our country is built on slavery and lies and taking land that wasn't yours and all of that. Like it's it's the literal foundation, and then the belief that you have to struggle and you have to push and you have to fight and everything has to be a hustle and it has to be uncomfortable and you have to be in debt and all of this stuff. Like we push this message on our young adults all the time that you don't have, even if you have time to rest, you don't have time to rest. Even if you have time to sleep and you shouldn't be sleeping. If you have, like, you need to be giving all of your money to schooling that you don't even know why you're there. Like it's this very generational, like shove your shit, it doesn't matter, just do and never feel. It's
Oh my God.
That's what it is.
Madie, I literally have chills because you're like a white girl. We're from the same place, but I literally feel so seen and appreciated by you because, yes, listeners, it is generational. As a Black woman, I can say we have been taught and built that it's work, 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 no rest. You keep pushing. And oh, bitch, you touched on it. You said just putting it under the rug. Like I think about like maybe my grandparents and then how they raised our parents and stuff. And it's like, shush, 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 shush it under the rug, da, 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 keep the
Yeah.
happy faces. It is this sickness thing and just it's built on lies. And now it's 2021. Everyone's suicidal and on so many drugs. And there's like an opioid crisis and just, it is a mess. And still, it's like, it's generational. It's so generational. And two, as a Black woman, like it's my job to rest. I tell my mother, all family, I tell my girlfriends, I'm like, just rest, sit down. Like you can rest and you will still get all your dreams and things to come. This sick, and I live in New York City, and this like sick, toxic culture of go, 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 do, do, do. Oh, no, 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 no. That's some fuck shit. And that's going to run me in the ground, especially
Yeah.
we're both so spiritual. Like energetically, I need to really retreat and like meditate, yoga, go on hikes. Like I can't be on the hamster wheel because I will die. And two, I really feel like energetically, like I won't get what I want. Like it'll just be following the same generational display. And like,
Mhm.
what has that gotten us? Nothing. Still in debt. No property value. No, like it's still so sad and fucked up for all
Yeah.
cultures in America.
Yeah. I mean, it just it makes me really sad because like we're all so familiar with this phrase burnout. Like all of us know what burnout is and what it feels like, and we're 25, like 20, 26, 27, like all of us, and even kids younger than us in high school, kids are getting burnout, and it's like they're not, you don't get to experience life. You don't get to experience anything. You're literally told what to do for your entire life until, everyone looks forward to retirement and they're like, that's when I'll rest. And it's like, you're going to rest when you're 90. Like, no, that's not a way to live. Like, you've literally just wasted your whole life on what exactly? Like, did you make anything that you're proud of? Really?
Completely. And
Yeah.
listeners, I don't you hate too the shame that comes with like, especially on millennials and who we are. Like, just yeah,
Mm.
you got handed everything. You don't work. You're burned out. Why are you complaining? I'm like, I was burned out junior year or even seventh
Right?
grade. It's just I was at paid
Yeah.
junior high, like dead. Like high school, no.
Oh
Like
my God.
just
Yeah,
too much.
exactly.
Um, I love chatting with you, but tell us
Mhm.
about wait, where are you from? Where were you born and raised? And please tell my
Okay.
audience about Rooted in the Clouds. You have this
Oh
beautiful,
my gosh.
amazing blog, but it just started. And listeners, y'all have to follow. It is so poetic, so honest. And yeah, tell us about that. And how old are you and where are you from?
Okay, so I'm 25. I was born and raised here in Arizona. I grew up in Queen Creek, and then I went to Basha High School and Payne Junior High, which is where I know you from.
Yes, well, that's how we
Um,
met. Yes.
yep. And let's see. What else did you ask me? Where am I from? Where was I born? Yeah, I've pretty much lived here my whole life. We had a short stint in Colorado and then in the Midwest and ended up back here. Um, and then Rooted in the Clouds. Okay, so I this was a project that I didn't anticipate happening, but it just kind of serendipitously happened.
Mhm.
So over the last couple of years, I've heard like just in passing, like people that I don't really know very well have commented on my writing and the way that I write and the way that I dictate and I just kind of have let it, oh, thanks, like
Mhm.
whatever. Like it didn't ever feel like a big thing to me until man, it just kind of happened. Like I'm someone who really wants to share my experiences with the world. I've always said, like, since my parents got divorced when I was 16, like I go through hard shit so that I can share it and people can learn. Like I've always felt like I want to be a conduit for other people to come to understand themselves, like the way that I can understand myself. And I feel like that when I got the idea for a blog, I was like, blogs are so that's old. That's an old idea. No one blogs anymore. Like everyone's doing podcasts or like even Instagram. Like why a blog? And then I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna fight it. I'm gonna just run with it. And it's honestly just a place for me to do exactly that, is just to share and to hope that it touches someone's life in some way, and a place that I feel useful, that yeah, it's I'm not really sure what
Incredible.
to make of it quite yet because it's so new, and just kind of I'm not pressuring myself to make posts when they don't feel authentic. I want everything that I write to feel genuine and authentic, and I have like four drafts going of like different ideas that I have for things, and yeah, it's a fun passion project for me, and I don't know if it's going to go anywhere, but
No,
I'm
that's
just
so
following.
incredible. That's so incredible. And really, Maddie, it's so inspiring because a lot of listeners and people are like, well, how do you start? And that's just it. You have a gut instinct and you have an idea and just do it. And as women, how I start when I was starting my podcast, I'm like, well, why? Everyone has a podcast. Now they're outdated. It's gonna take so long for me. But that's just our bullshit. I
It's
don't know what
ego.
it is. It's ego. It's
It's
ego.
fear.
It's fear.
Something trying to keep you safe. Yeah.
Girl, and it's not even real because now I'm doing this podcast and like even if it stays small or whatever, I'm doing it creatively and energetically for me and like that's
Mhm.
so fulfilling. And is that how like you feel about doing Rooted in the Clouds?
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty, my philosophy is follow your bliss, follow what makes you happy, follow what makes you excited. And I I recently figured out that I really love writing, and it makes me happy and excited and blissful. And I get the butterflies and the goosebumps while I'm typing away on my computer. So that's what feels good to me right now.
Incredible, incredible. And I agree with you too. I feel like another thing, that's why I knew I fucked with you. I'm also a child of divorce, and that was, oh, we'll have to talk offline. That was just an incredible journey roller coaster. And like you, I agree. I just feel like we go through these experiences, and I want to help expand the other person, and not,
Mhm.
there should be no stigma, no shame, no fear. Like it should just be, we're all human. These are our stories. Hey, this is what I've learned. This is what I've struggled with. And also, this is
Yeah.
how I came out of it to the other side. Cause I bet you get this, like, people are like, you're so happy, you're so glowing. And it's just like, I follow my bliss. I follow
Yeah.
what moves me.
Like I don't
Yeah,
it's it's funny because everyone's like, "Oh, well, what's the recipe?" And I'm like, "Don't follow my recipe because my recipe is for me. It's do what makes you happy." Like I can't tell you what makes you happy. You have to tell you what makes you happy. I can tell you maybe how to like get in touch with yourself so you can ask yourself those questions, but your answers are going to be different than mine. Like
com-
that's the bottom line.
completely. And I get
Yeah.
that too. It's like, what's the secret? And when did you do? And it's like, I just follow what makes me happy and what makes me
Yeah.
shine.
Yeah.
Before we get into it, wait, tell us, what's your chart? What is your moon, your rising, your sun?
I'm a Virgo sun, I'm a Gemini moon, and an Aquarius rising.
I love it. Listeners, we connect. We're both Aquarius risings. And two, just know on record, we stand Virgo women. Like Virgo women are the top. Beyonce's one, Maddie's one, my mama's one. Virgo women. You know, you guys have such a beautiful, like, grounding perspective. And it's always so pure. And I really think like ego less. You guys are just for what's the best picture, and it's always coming from it's always coming from a place of love. So I don't know about Virgo
Thank
men,
you.
those are another breed, but
Well, my husband's a Virgo.
ah,
We're
I
both
love it.
Virgo. He's a double Virgo, so he's a Virgo sun and a Virgo moon.
Ooh, that moon is incredible and oh, that's
Yeah, he's
wonderful.
he's a rather balanced. He's in his divine masculine, like healed divine masculine. He's amazing. Like I could not have manifested a better partner. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, I love that, Maddie. And isn't it so funny? Like here on the pod, I have so many great women who were just all in such happy, sustainable, equal partnerships, relationships. And tell
Mhm.
us, what do you love most about married life? What is it just, what
Oh
is it?
man.
What's the best part?
So, it's funny because when I first got married, like I've wanted to be with Tom. Like I've known that Tom is my person since the moment I met him. Like we moved so fast. We moved in together within 3 months of meeting each other. Like he was a stranger to me up until I gave him my phone number. And yeah, when I got married, I actually had like kind of a panic feeling because I had feelings and beliefs about marriage based off of like what I saw as a child and coming from a child of divorce basically, and all of my mom's sisters are divorced, my dad's sisters are divorced, like I just see divorce everywhere.
Yeah.
And it really challenged me to like separate marriage from the partnership. Like what is the foundation of this relationship? And my favorite things about being with Tom are that he's supportive. He is my very best friend. And people think it's cheesy when you say that your spouse is your best friend, but like holy shit, he's my best friend. Like he is my sun, my moon, my stars, like my home. We could be anywhere, we could be lost in the woods, but as long as there's Tom, there is home and I feel safe. Like
Yeah.
we've been through some shit in our relationship, like not our relationship specifically because that's been the one thing that's solid, but
Yeah.
just everything surrounding it. We've been super broke, we have been like we've moved so many times, we have just things have been thrown at us, but
Yeah.
I feel so solid with Tom.
Ugh.
It's absolutely insane and incredible, and I really hope, like, I want every single person to have that in their relationship and have that in their life. And yeah.
Maddie, that is so, you got me almost tearing up. That is so beautiful. And no, isn't it so true? Like once you find it, it's just, you want it for everyone. You know, it's possible. You know that souls meet each other. And thank you so much for just being so open and sharing. Like I agree, during even the pandemic, like life is life. And when shit
Yeah.
gets thrown at your partnership, at your relationship, it's so tough. Like, they don't, listeners, there's no fucking rom-com or no book. Like, it is so tough. It is so tough. And when you overcome it, it's just so beautiful. And it makes you guys even closer together. And I
Yeah.
love you just saying about like your family's history too. Cause same, I have so much generational stuff of like the men cheating and this, that, and the other, and the women staying, and just
Mhm.
a lot of low vibration stuff. So when I got with my person, I agree. It's like we could be on a cardboard box on Fifth Avenue. We'd be so happy because we have each other. And there's just something so beautiful. And I'm so happy you're able to grow from your beliefs. Cause I don't know about you, I grew up religious too. So looking at marriage, even now, I'm trying to work out of that process of it being so like, this is what it's going to be like. What if it's like my parents or what I've seen or friends' parents, like, and then the church and all that stuff. So I'm trying to separate it and just be, wow, I'm with my best friend in the world. What a beautiful partnership. And yes, girl, what you said, your partner should be your best friend. That's one thing my mom always said, and I didn't get it, but especially during the global pandemic, it's like, no, this is the motherfucker I want when the world is on fire. And like, if we have no electricity and we're in a closet, like, this is who I want.
Exactly.
We would make it a time, and like, the
Mhm.
world would be ours and I'd be our own little world. And listeners, your
Yes.
partner has to be your best. Some girls are like, no, what? No, that's your best friend.
You know, and I just think for all the time I'm going to be spending with him, like if I'm going to hitch my wagon to his for the rest of eternity, I better have a damn good time with him.
Right.
Like I don't have time for anything less than like the best time ever, you know? And just I had another thought when
Mhm.
just now about,
Yes.
you know, what my favorite thing about
Tell
being
me.
married or like being
Mhm.
his partner is. He I think it's so important to find someone that will hold space for you when you find the shit that like triggers you. Like
Girl.
those things that you were talking about, like beliefs that you have about men, for instance, like
Mhm.
men in your family cheating or whatever. And like I would get so insecure for no reason because he's never given me a reason to be insecure. I think that he would ever be unfaithful or cheat or whatever. I would just start to project and like
Oh,
oh shit. And I'm like, I'm literally the worst because you've been the best man for me ever. And here I am being like, oh, you're gonna do this, and why'd you look at her? And like just projecting all my shit.
girl.
And he just like, let's unpack this. Like, let's figure this out together because I love you and I want, you know, and I've always seen the men in my family get so defensive and
Mhm.
so like not be able to handle any like rock in the boat.
Anything. Mhm.
Exactly. And I'm
Mhm.
like, I'm the one, I feel like I'm the one most of the time that like brings the shit to the table and I'm really confrontational when there's an issue and I'm like, we gotta talk about
Yeah,
this. And he's just like, all right, let's talk. Like, let's figure out what's making you uncomfortable. And I will reassure you over and over and over again that you are safe, that I'm here for you. And I've been able to find that in myself too, and being able to like figure out how to hold that space for him as well. I think that that's such an important thing in the relationship, especially when you're stuck together in a house during a pandemic.
Girl, in a city, in a house, in an apartment, anywhere.
Yeah.
So important. That, Maddie, that is so beautiful. So beautiful. And like you said, they are able to hold space. I, like myself, on some toxic bullshit, and I did
Mhm.
leave New York like in a triggered place, vulnerable place with my partner. And it's so great to have men who are strong enough emotionally in their masculine and their feminine and be like, hey,
Mhm.
what's up? I promise you, this is not what it seems. How can we take a step back? So, ding, 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 you can feel safe. And then I love what you said. Then you become even closer with yourself. So it's really not even about, oh, having the great boyfriend, having the hot boyfriend, hot husband, whoever. It's you getting back to yourself. And then it's like a bonus because you have the love of your life and the person who's going to help you through the journey. It's like,
Yeah.
and two, for me at least, I'm so happy, like such a late bloomer. Like I didn't have the whole high school love, college love. Like I waited and now I'm in my 20s with like the greatest thing ever. And I'm just so, it's the journey. And yeah, if this
Mhm.
pandemic didn't teach us anything. It's like, who am I hitching on to for eternity,
Yeah.
for the end? And you want to have fun. You want to be able to grow and experience. And that's
Yeah.
so beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Thank
Okay, Virgo men stand. We stand.
Healed Virgo man. Healed Virgo man.
Healed. Ladies, gentlemen, non-binary. You need
Get
to
your
get
trauma
people.
sorted.
Girl, get your trauma sorted. Madie, so wait, this is a podcast on body image cooking. And I want to start with, at what age did you learn to love your body? Was there like a ding, like a light bulb moment? What was the time? When did you just connect and you loved your body? What was that moment like for you?
Honestly, age 25. Like I could probably say it was a few weeks ago.
A few weeks ago, girl. I'm like last night.
It was like I'm actually working on a blog post about this because it's something that I feel like I wanted to share. So this is great timing. But like I I looked at myself in the mirror the other day, and I might get emotional.
No, I love
And I
it.
just got this like floor to ceiling mirror. Like I was so excited about it. And I stood in front of the mirror like totally naked. And I had this feeling of love, like blissful, like as if I was looking at Tom, like love for myself. And I was like not picking myself apart. I was staring dead in the eyes at my stretch marks and my cellulite and my boobs that aren't perky enough and my stomach that's kind of soft. And I just loved every inch of it. And I was like, how the hell did we get here? Like, how did we get here from hating your body so much that I was willing to starve and die to not be in it, to this point of like total bliss and peace?
Of
And
love
like
it.
looking down at my thighs and like touching them and feeling how soft they are and loving them. Like literally it happened this year.
Yeah, no,
and
Madie, that's so beautiful.
and it's not about a number on the scale. It's not about a size of jeans that I'm wearing. It's not about that shit. It's
No.
not about it. Life is so much more than that. Like my understanding of like what my body is to me is so different now than it ever has
Mm.
been.
That is so, so incredible, Madie. And didn't it feel like a light? Because I experience it too. Just it's like a light. And I'm so prone on this podcast. I tell listeners, I'm like, you need to get comfortable with yourself, like just you, flaws and all. I will look at my dimply thighs and I will be like just caressing them. And I'm like, but I'm so beautiful. And I love that. And for someone too who was so obsessed on the size, and I had to stay the American Eagle jean size 12. I know. And then you look at yourself, you're like, how did we get here? And then that love just kind of extends to others like light, because you love yourself and you're coming from a point of view of imperfection, perfection, and just it's an overall love for your body. And wait, also, I had a last podcast guest, listeners, this might be a trend. Get a full length mirror, because another girl,
Yes.
Sarah, she was like, I've been so afraid, and I got it, and game changer, like a
I'm like,
full,
damn, I'm hot as hell.
like what?
Like, wow, is this the secret key? Is just to have a full length mirror.
Exactly. And it hits you like a
Take
thousand bricks.
selfies. Take selfie. Like we're all like, people give you shit for taking all the selfies. You are the selfie queen. I love your selfies. Take fucking selfies. Appreciate your hotness. Like, you're a bad bitch.
You're a bad bitch.
Shit.
And two, wait, listeners, I've always been kind of death being like what happens after we die, but we are so young. I don't want to be 28, 48 and look back like, no, 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 no. And I know kind of like the rules on social media. One, there are no rules. And when I feel so authentically me and myself, I have to show that to the world. Like it's not seen. And then putting that on display. I know everyone says I'm like the selfie queen, but it's just take selfies, take them in your bathroom, get naked with yourself. Just what makes you feel beautiful. And I think for a lot of us, I don't know if you can relate, it's so hard to look at it was so hard for me to look at myself being in junior high, being in high school, knowing that I wasn't, white, blonde, and I didn't have a boyfriend, didn't go to prom with anyone. I didn't want to look at mirrors. I didn't want to look at myself. And to now be in this enlightenment path. Oh, thank you for sharing. It's pure bliss. You look at yourself, you're like, how do we get here? And then two, I have so much love, and I really try to practice like inner child healing. Like I have so much love for that 16-year-old who didn't like herself, who was puking at Harkins. Like I have so much clarity and just love, because we were at that place and like it was projected. Shit was projected, and that wasn't our fault. So
Yeah, it's just we become a product of the environment that we're in. And unfortunately, I know the environment you grew up in. It was a hot mess, just toxic everywhere. Like the religious influence, the just growing up in a time where thinness is so like idealized. And I'm a girl that has thick legs. I've always had a booty. I've always had thick legs. I'm just not built to be like, I'm not a rail. Like
Yeah.
that's just who I am. Like I look strong and athletic, and I
Yeah.
never appreciated that.
Ugh.
I like, my friends would always talk about, oh, I have a thigh gap when I put my legs together. And I'm like, my
Do you
legs
remember
just
when that
look
was a thing? Oh my, I'm cringe. Oh my God. Yes, right. And
What's the thigh gap?
what? Oh my God. I'm like
Yeah.
cringing. Yeah. And it's just so, yeah. And so tell me what body image issues did you struggle with growing up? Because,
Yeah.
listeners, we grew up in Queen Creek, Chandler, Arizona. And
Mhm.
wow, what like a literally high school of like hierarchy and popularity, rich people, just a lot of whiteness, at least until like, I would say like mid high school, maybe sophomore, junior year. But what was it like to grow up? And it's so interesting too, because I talked about what it was like for me, and I'm a Black woman, but you're white. And I bet we have a lot of similarities, and how interesting and how broken down is like, we're one, human to human. I see
Mhm.
you, you see me. And I think there's so much division because all of us, we can't even like take a walk in another person's shoes or understanding and where they come from. So yeah, what body image issues did you struggle with? And we grew up in the same environment.
Yeah. My thing was always, I was always afraid to be too something, too loud, too happy, my hair was too big because I have this big, beautiful curly hair.
Beautiful frizzy, beautiful
Too,
hair, beautiful hair.
thank you. Too, like, my boobs developed early. All my friends were like flat chested and skinny and had the tiny little waists, and like my butt was too big and my thighs were too thick and too everything. Like I wanted to minimize myself. I wanted to be smaller. I wanted to not be noticeable. Like I wanted to be noticed, but I didn't want to be noticeable. I wanted to,
Yes.
and it's like, did we come here to be clones of each other? Like I would spend hours. I remember in junior high waking up 2 hours before I even had to leave for school so I could straighten the shit out of my hair every single day.
Oh
And I would wear what I thought all of my friends were going to wear and not what I liked to wear. And it's my biggest body image issues were like being fuller figured, being a
my.
curvy
Mhm.
woman. Like I hated my curves in high school. I hated them. I wanted them gone. And it's yeah, I it just like everything. Like you just take apart
Yeah.
your whole self when
Oh
you're
my
younger.
Maddie, and so many of my listeners are going to relate to it because it's, yeah, too small, too big, too loud. And yeah, what a time to grow up. I say it so much. Like, what we were seeing was thin whiteness. It was, Victoria's Secret models. It was Hannah
Mhm.
Montana. It was like every TV show, The Hills. It was like just that. And
Well, and all the popular girls, all the girls that got asked to prom were skinny, and all the girls like I never went to prom in high school. I never got asked. I was like, what is wrong with me that no one wants to go with me? And I went to, I was like two people's last pick for homecoming. Like, oh, homecoming's in 2 weeks. I don't have a day to ask Madie. Like what the
I
hell?
know. And what did that isn't that crazy? I'm so like it. And so listeners, that shit, it left a mark on me. It left a mark on me. I carried that shit. I would label myself because yeah, it's just, oh, I'm other and this is not what's okay. And
Yeah,
it just, I really got small. I got small within myself, but I knew when to be loud and knew when I could shine and knew when maybe the hot popular guy would notice me once. But we were just able to shrink ourselves because of the environment we grew up on. And it's just
yeah,
so awful, you know?
yeah. And I grew up Mormon. I grew up, in that culture, but I never really felt like I fit into it. Like
Yes.
I didn't enjoy going to seminary. I didn't enjoy going to church. Like I went because I felt like I had to. And that
Hmm.
was just another place where I minimized my spirit and my soul. And so I was just being like kept in this itty bitty little box
Yep.
that I thought I needed to morph myself and cut down parts of myself to stay there for safety.
Mhm.
And it was anything but safe. Like it shredded me, you
It's
know?
absolutely, absolutely. And I want to know, what is your relationship like with food? How is it during the pandemic? I know for me, a lot of like old ED patterns came up, and I definitely felt like I think there was just the world was so traumatized. Like I just didn't want to eat. I would just smoke weed all day and not work out. And just like, I didn't, 5 o'clock would roll up, 5 o'clock would roll around. I'd be like, oh, I had a yogurt bowl and gummies. And
Mhm.
I got back into that. And I was like, I don't need to eat because, tomorrow. And I've been eating junk since like the first 4 months. Like a lot of my stuff flared up. So I want to know what your relationship like with food and how was that during the pandemic?
So I mean, I come from a background, I had undiagnosed anorexia from age 17 till I was 20. And it's a constant, it's a constant reminder to like, I need to nourish my body. I need to fuel my body. I need to, in order for me to feel happy, feel peace, feel calm, I need to make sure that I'm eating and that I am eating things that make me feel good. And there are some days that are harder than others because
Mhm.
some days I do find myself being like, I didn't move much today. So like, I'm kind of hungry, but I'll just, eat an apple or I'll like have a couple of, a little bit of something, but like
Mhm.
feed your fucking body, like feed yourself. And that's what I have to remind myself all the time. And
Yes.
and the more that I learn about, I'm in school for holistic nutrition right now, and the more that I learn about like what food actually does for you rather than just breaking it down into how many calories are in something, like food, like you have to have it. You wouldn't deprive your plants of soil. Why the fuck are you not giving yourself food, you know
Girl, plain and simple. And thank you so much, Maddie, for sharing this space with me. And I love what you said. Like some days are just it, listeners, it just happens. Like the thought,
Mhm.
well, it's almost kind of like being like Alcoholics Anonymous or something like that. You'll still want to be like, oh, can I drink? Oh, can I skip a meal? Oh, I didn't move. It still comes by, but it's the choice you have. And during the pandemic, I had to be like, wait, taking care of myself, I feel calmer, I feel better. And yes, what you said, would you not water the plants, give it soil? Like, no,
Your
you should
plant's gonna die.
your plant's gonna die. You're gonna die. And two, I'm just back onto what you said. Like your body held on to that weight. You had to do a whole thing and be like, actually, let me do yoga. Let me get into like a more holistic meditative state. And then that connected you even better with your body. And
Yeah.
it's really just about listening?
Yeah, and here's the thing about like like what I said a little bit ago about like the energy that you bring to something. Your body will hold on to beliefs, and it manifests as physical weight a lot of the time.
Mhm.
So much of the time when we have like weight to lose, and I say that with air quotes because that's so specific and individual for each person. Like it's usually a reflection of like something that you're holding on to in your core, like a belief about yourself. And once you are able to bring that to the surface and look at it and examine it and hold space for yourself in that belief and like compassion for yourself,
Mhm.
that's when the real healing happens. I didn't, I like, it didn't happen for me overnight. Like, I still have those hard days where I have to be like, Madie, you deserve to eat, you deserve food. Like, it's just like loving my body and loving myself and showing myself compassion in those days where it's hard. And I don't know if I'm making a lot of sense because I feel like it's
No,
jumbled, but
Maddie, I don't want to cry. You're hitting so many key important notes. And it's just as simple as like, you want to give your body nourishment. You don't want to, and just we're being honest right now. Like we might be 50 and we still might be having these thoughts, and that is okay. But
yeah.
choosing the better path and choosing to just, I love that. Listeners, take a pause and be like, no, I need to take care of myself. I tell myself, you know what? I'm like, I'll feel better after I eat. Like, take out
Mm-hmm.
the programming of what if you're bloated? What if you gain weight? Da, da, da. No, after I eat that burger or that quinoa salad, I'll actually feel better and be able to go on with my day instead of, getting to that point in the crash. Well, instead of the other,
Yeah.
opening the
Yeah.
other door.
Well, and the other thing is like food is so much more than calories. Like I think that's the big conditioning that we have to break is that food is not just calories. It is like, especially as women, we are so complex. We go through cycles. We are hungrier sometimes and not as hungry sometimes. And we honor your hunger. Honor what it is telling you. Like when I am close to ovulating or close to my period, I know I'm going to be hungry. I'm going to be ravenous because my body is doing some shit and she needs some extra fuel. And if I want to be able to have babies one day, I need to honor that.
Oh
Like
my
I
God.
cannot be starving myself and teach my body that we're in a deficit all the time, and then expect it to produce a baby later, or to have a healthy cycle, or for my hair to not fall out. Like all of these things, to have good skin, to have good, to be in a good mood, to have good sleep, you have to be listening to those signals. You have to be like getting in touch with your body. And I know that sounds like such a big, like, it's a very tall order. It's so hard. It's so fucking hard.
It's so
Do what you
hard.
can.
It's so hard.
It's just about doing what you can and what feels realistic and what feels good to you in that moment, and taking the small steps towards like, okay, maybe I will blank today. Like today I'm going to interrupt this thought pattern that I'm having of like, check yourself basically. Or if you can't do that, like find someone that can support you in that. Like my husband also comes from a background of having an eating disorder. He also had anorexia, and us being able to check ourselves and hold space for each other when we're having those really hard times of like the poor body image comes in, and it's like, and it's really loud, like being able to be the sounding board for each other and remembering like, hey, this is fear speaking to you. Like fear is a liar. You know what's right and what's not. And you know,
yes,
find the support.
Yes. Wait, we gotta rewind. Fear is a liar. The devil
Fear is a fucking liar.
A lie. And to what you said about a minute ago, listeners, the body is so fucking smart. Like I think it holds on to the trauma, and then it'll manifest in ways, because it's not fighting against you, but it's trying to keep you alive, but you're on your fuck shit. So no, taking a step back and it's so hard as women in America, as women in the world. It's all about calories. And I think women that are older than us, like some of my girlfriends that are 30 and stuff, they grew up weighing themselves every day. Like the scale's so normal. Like every generation has this toxic shit, and we can't be blamed. We are programmed. We are brainwashed to believe this. But like you said, it is hard. It is so hard, but you have to start somewhere. And the other side is so beautiful. And thank you. So that's so incredible that you and your husband have that bond, because too, I said in my earlier episodes, y'all, and I can't wait to start having men on the podcast. This affects both men and women. Body image issues.
Oh, hell yeah.
Orders. This is, girl, how many of my gay friends, of my straight male friends, it affects all of us. And just that soundboard, that's so beautiful. And listeners, I recommend, you have a friend, DM me. Like if you need that soundboard to be like, hey, this is not what it is, and just start at small steps. I think that's how you cultivate the life you want, truly, and the relationship with your body, because it's also so hard to heal that relationship with your body. I know for me, I didn't like I was on some self-hatred bullshit, girl. Growing up in Arizona, I was on it. And so it's so important for me now when I have those triggering moments, just to comfort that child and that person, and that person.
Exactly. That child, the inner child stuff is so important. Like the messages that we're taught. I grew up in a household that valued thinness, and that my mom would make comments about, oh, don't eat the white bread, it'll make your butt big. Like, oh, we don't eat M&Ms because they'll make your butt big. Like everything was about making your butt big, which is why my ass has been my hugest insecurity until lately. Like
it's crazy.
It's hold space. It's so much about that inner child, that poor little girl inside of me that's like, well, I'm scared of the calories. Like I saw in the magazine that Jennifer Aniston doesn't eat the calories. And it's like, okay, like hold her. Like, and the other thing is, healing can't happen until you are ready. And if you're not ready right now, that is another thing. Stop putting the pressure on yourself. Like making yourself feel like you're wrong for where you are right now is going to keep you stuck. So like acknowledging like, yes, there's a problem and I want to fix it, but I don't know how, and that's got to be okay right now.
Yes.
And then when you have the energy, when you can find the support, like that's when you make the first step. It's hold space for exactly where you are in this moment, because it's hard. Like this shit's hard, and it's ingrained in us, and it is pushed into us that we need to fit in this. Like, if you don't look like this, you're wrong. If you don't do these activities, you're wrong. If you haven't done the keto diet, you're wrong. Like, we're not wrong. You need, and it's so,
it's
crazy.
Our society has
got
it's like, it's so, they really do that. And you know what,
yeah.
y'all, they're the society. I think the patriarchy, white supremacy, whoever, they just want women to feel so down. That's why you don't see, or,
Mhm.
when you see a confident woman, she's arrogant. Or when you see a woman who's thriving and like a billionaire,
Mhm.
she's like cocky. Like they don't want to see women thrive because they know our fucking power. Do you know if every listener listened to this
Oh
episode, or every woman in the world, and how empowered, like once women were in touch with our power, they're fucked. Like they are all fucked. And I think I love what you said too.
mhm.
Like healing takes time. And if you're not at that space, listeners, it is just so okay. I think we have to, you're not stuck, but just being in the in betweens. Like right now, even me, just in the in betweens of life and just being okay. Like I know what's coming is so much more greater, and what's behind is healing and complicated, and also the past, but just hold space and know that the time will come. And reach out for help if you need it. This affects all of us. This affects everyone. Like that's why too, for me, this podcast is like, it's not talked about. Like why aren't we taught? I moved to New York City, and I have this great eclectic group of women girlfriends, and I was like, wow, every single one of us has like some ED thing happening or had happened. And
For
what a
real.
like, I'm like, what a thing. And then I remember watching Taylor Swift's documentary and just being like, this affects all of us, white, black, brown, Asian, Middle East. It's just, they want us to believe this shit. And I think just starting out with start at where you are. And just like we touched on, it's self compassion. You can't get anywhere without self compassion and just being okay with where you're at.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Exactly. It's on the head.
and I totally agree with you too. I don't know if it's the generation, or it's definitely my nana growing up. She'd be like, a moment on the lips, forever on the hips, or, well, what are
Oh,
you eating? You're not gonna get a boyfriend with that. Just she'd say the
oh.
wildest shit, and y'all, she's still alive, still kicking. Love her. And even now, I'm home. Now it's this. Oh, you're just so small, Brianna. You're so thin. You're like, you can't. And I'm like, but why does it have to center anything around my
Like, why
body,
does it have to
Nana?
be about my body? Like, oh my
Can't
God,
it
when
just
I
be
go
you
to
look
my,
so good? I'm so happy to see you. Like,
yeah,
why
like
is
anytime I go to my dad's house, someone's got to make a comment about my body, their own body, something they're doing to diet. Like, God, why does it always have to be about our bodies? How boring. Like, how boring.
how
Ask
boring?
me about my day. Like, what are you doing? What are you excited about? Like, what's happening in your life? I don't give a shit
No,
what diet you're doing right now. I don't really want to know. Like,
I don't want to know. And
things.
girl, you're on it. And two, isn't it funny when you become like this enlightened, or just so much love for yourself, you realize, like, listeners, I'm just like, yo, y'all are projecting like a mother effer. Like it's just all of your shit you're trying to give to me to then carry and put my belief. No, 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 no. I know my beliefs. I know that all of our bodies are beautiful, and they've been all been given to us just to keep us alive on this time and place. And I can't wait to leave and go with my soul. But fuck you and your body negativity and your just brainwashing ways. Like I know who I am, and I know what our bodies mean to us. And like for my grandma and probably for your family members, I just have empathy. I'm just will be like, mm-hmm, and then like, okay. And it doesn't affect me, or if
Yeah.
it does, I just take that pause.
Well, and that's the thing. Another thing that I've had to, like, with my own inner child healing is I have to remember to see those members of my family who haven't had that kind of healing that I have, to hold empathy for them and to know that they're not trying to upset me. Like when my stepmom comments on my body, like she's not trying to hurt my feelings, or she's not trying to trigger that part of me that would restrict if she said something. Like she is, her own inner child is hurting, my dad's inner child is hurting, like they're all
Yes.
a product of what they were taught. And it makes me feel sad that like they don't love themselves like that yet. And I really hope that by me being an example of someone who's accepting and loving of their own self, that
That's
maybe
it.
that will trickle onto them
No,
and they
that's
can be like, oh,
it.
maybe this
Yes.
is okay. Like I can't force anyone to do anything. I can't force them to heal. I can't force them to stop like judging themselves in that way, but I can show them hopefully
Yes.
that your body, like you're not wrong for being who you are. You're not wrong in this body. Your body is beautiful and perfect, and it has something to tell you. And if you listen, oh my God, if you listen,
Girl, if
like
you listen,
things
Maddie, so
change.
girl, lay it on me. And just listeners, so many people too, they're like, well, how I'm big on like, healed relationships with our parents because they're the only people we have. And I love that. Yeah, I don't take my feelings don't get hurt. Like I don't take any judgment. And two, listeners, you have to know, even if it's like like a person on the street will say something about your body, like I know that they're hurting and it's not about me, it's about them. And I take my ego out of it. Like it's not me. I don't have to go binge eat or anything. That's
Yeah.
them. And two, yeah, I have so much love because like you said, our parents were taught just, oh my God, we're in, girl, even this, it's 2021 and like shit is just incredible and insanely beautiful to be alive right now. But what our parents were taught and like their brainwashing and conditioning and thinking,
Mhm.
listeners, you just have to have empathy and know that they're your only parents and just still come at them from a place of love. Because yes, I loved what you said. You were saying, then you being in acceptance and in love and in full of yourself, yeah, like you hope by the end or whenever they can click in them and be like, well, you know, Madie loves herself just as she is and how her body is and her life and her art. So I can just be okay as me. And I don't have to
Yeah.
comment on her thighs or her, but like, it's just that, hey, that might happen in 6 years and 6 weeks, like 20 years, but
Yeah.
it's really energetically, it's just, it's how it is. And two, like that love comes back twice around. I've really felt it.
Exactly.
It comes
Yeah,
back twice
exactly.
around.
Yeah.
So, Madie, what does I know like in the culture of wellness and whiteness and all this thing, but what does self-love mean to you? If you had to describe it, what does that mean? And it's so I love this question because it's so different for all of us and that's how I feel like life is. You have to follow your own journey. Like I can't really compare to you or to my other friends cuz we're just all on our different paths. But yeah, what does self-love mean to you?
Self-love to me is holding space for whatever wherever I am in this moment. If I wake up and I am feeling low, I don't I don't shit on myself for it. I don't like, oh, I should be in a better mood. I don't have any reason to be sad. Like I struggle with depression sometimes, and some days I wake up and I just am low, and allowing that to be true and saying, okay, what would feel good to do next then? Like what is the thing, what's the best thing for me right now? Like what, and it's not even about changing my mood. It's just about
Mhm.
taking care of myself and holding space for that feeling. Or when I'm feeling happy, what do I feel like doing? What do I feel like eating? What do I feel like? It's it's asking myself and checking back in with, okay, what does Madie want today? And
Oh
I feel
my
like nobody else is going to ask you what you want in life. It's not, you're not driving up to McDonald's and ordering a Happy Meal. Like, what do you want? Like, you have to ask yourself, what's going to make you happy? What's going to feel good? What feels aligning? What feels
God.
calming? What do you need in this moment? Do you need to journal? Do you need to call a friend? Do you need to social media detox? Do you need
Oof.
to have sex? Do you need to go masturbate? Do you like,
Yeah.
what do you need? What do you
What
need today? What will feed your soul? That's what self-love is to me. It's not the face mask. It's not the, and sometimes it is a face mask if that's
Yeah.
what you want, but like it's so individual. And I think it's just that self check-in that like, hey, how are we? Like when you ask, when we first get on the podcast, how's your heart? Like if we all got in the habit of asking ourselves first thing in the morning, how's your heart today? Like, how do you feel? God, what a different world it would be.
Girl, on it. Yes. And Maddie, wait, one. This podcast episode is so amazing. Thank you for just being so open and sharing. And you struggle with depression. I'm a bipolar two disorder. And some mornings are just you wake up in a state. And listeners, it's as simple as just okay, what can I give myself right now? And sometimes that's even before I like go on the run or smoke a bowl. It's literally just sitting with my feelings and just being like, what can I give you that you need? Like, what is going to make you feel good? And Madie, I love what you touched on also on the wonderful joy on the days you wake up happy. What do you want to do? What do you want to eat? Who do you want to see? How do you want to like share your energy
Exactly.
and be in the world? Like, listeners, it truly is. And it's like such a bullshit, but it's a balance. It is a balance. Not anyone in this world has all A+ days straight in a row, no triggers, all happiness. No, it's really just
Yeah.
about showing up for yourself. And Madie, I love what you said. I'm so big on it. It's in the morning, like before naked, sometimes not naked, but in the mirror, I'll go in the bathroom and just be like, hey, good morning. How are you? How did you sleep? Listen, for me, it's kind of like shadow work because like I just have never
Mhm.
been a morning person. I can wake up and I was always like cussing at my mom, being like, get out, go. But in the morning, just so in the mornings, it's kind of a hit or miss. It depends what mood I'm going to wake up on. So just waking up, going to the bathroom and being like, how are you? How'd you sleep? what do we need today to get things going? And just
Exactly.
taking that space, it's deeply healing, and you find a sense of self. I think so many of us are disconnected from ourselves, and that's the problem. And I loved self love. Incredible, incredible.
Yeah, it's letting go of what you think you should do and just letting your back to the intuition, letting your highest self, your inner knowing guide you that day. Like just be,
Yes.
I mean, you have to do the adult things. Sometimes you can't say no to going to work and whatever, but like around that, what can you do to make this day the best that you can? How can I honor my feelings and honor my needs and also be a functioning adult in society?
Hello. And yeah, that has to be a tagline or something. Don't should yourself. You can, listeners, my mom said that for such a long, you cannot should yourself. That is really some like ass backwards negative energy. Like, one, why are you in the past? Two, at the time, it was the right thing you needed to do. Even for me, like at the time, even if it was low vibration, like I felt that's what I had to do. So I'm not going to should, but now moving forward, I know what to do so we don't go. You can't should yourself. That is and two, it's all about how you talk to yourself. You can't be,
That inner
oh no,
dialogue.
girl, inner dialogue. You have to. What's something that your mom taught you about your body, or maybe your sisters? Did you grow up with any sisters?
So yeah, I have an older sister and I did grow up with my mom. It was so I was thinking about this question when I saw it because like verbally, the messages my mom taught us about our bodies were not great. Like she told us that boys only want us, they don't want to be your friends, they only want to kiss you and fuck you.
I'm dead. Wait,
Um
this sounds like
th-
me as a mom.
yeah. My mom would be like, she would say like, oh, boys don't want to be your friends. They only like if they're around you, it means they like you or whatever. Like I was only valuable for my body. Um, the things that she
Hmm.
said weren't necessarily great. The comments about the white bread and your butt being too big or whatever. And she would make comments about her own body. But the
Hmm.
more I thought about it, it was the way that my mom showed me what she could do with her body. I would come home from school and my mom, she would be listening to her 70s disco, mopping the floors or whatever, so loud in the house and just like dancing, like having the best time. My
Oh,
mom loved to dance. She was like the life of the party. She was a joyous, bubbly, happy person.
what's her sign? Oh my God.
She's an Aries. She's an
Oh,
Aries.
oh
Yes.
God. No, Aries women are the queen. They're the best manifestors.
She's
Because,
Oh my gosh.
oh
She's
goodness.
like she was a force to be reckoned with. She was powerful and she ran a business and she raised 4 kids successfully and she had 4 healthy pregnancies. Like my mom showed me just how powerful she is in her body. Like yeah, her inner dialogue like sucked and she gave that to my sister and I unfortunately, but the example that she set with like not using her words, her body, like she would go for runs every day and my mom was strong, like she was strong like physically, and she was not a mentally weak person either. She did everything that she could. She cooked dinner, like she was such a beautiful example for me, like in the way that she used her body.
Mhm.
That's where the message really comes from me, and I see that so much in myself now.
Yeah.
Like my drive for life, like I get that from my mom. My strength in my body, I get that from my mom. My love for like dancing and moving my body, I get that from my mom. Like that's what she taught me.
Oh shit, 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 shit. I want to cry because so many of my guests, past guests, and even listeners, it's like, yeah, our parents maybe didn't teach us all the great things, but you can look at the positive, look at the things you did get. And yeah, Aries women hold it down. They're the best manifestors. They are so in tune with their masculine and feminine to like an
Mm,
100, like they are. And what a beautiful an example for you to see. So just, how crazy, like words are one thing, but for me and being visual, it was so beautiful and so powerful for you to see that and to see her using her body in such strong and incredible ways. And I can agree. Isn't it crazy as we get older? Like, we're like, oh shit, like I am my mom, or those great
right.
qualities. You're like, wait, that's so cool. And listeners,
Yeah.
that's the beauty in like loving your parents for who they are and letting all that bullshit go. Cause they're just people and they're doing the best they can. And your mom, that message, the body's strong. You can run a business. You can have great you can see, I
Yeah.
think we can have it all. We can fucking have it
For
all.
sure. Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just, what a great example to have. And so, so beautiful, Madie. Wow.
You.
So if you had to say, what would be like the biggest lesson you've learned from your body? You're into yoga right now, which I love. And I love your posing, and you're just,
Thank you.
y'all, I'm going to tag all her stuff at the bottom. You have to follow her IG. It's so sensual and just surreal and peaceful. And yeah, what's the lesson that your body's taught you? Even in the last year, I'd say.
Yeah. So it's something that I touched on earlier. It's just that I'm not here to be just like anyone else. I'm not here to look like Becky across the street. I'm not here to have the hair that everyone sees on Instagram. I'm here to be exactly me. And I'm here to be in the body that I'm in. I don't need to have a boob job. I don't need to get, I don't need to work on my cellulite or my stretch marks. Like, they're here and I'm here, and this body that I'm in is right and okay. Like, I don't, just because I see someone who is likable doesn't mean that I have to be that person to be liked. I've realized that the more that I come to love and like and accept myself, the more that I become a magnet for other people who like and love and accept themselves. Like, I have made some of the most amazing connections this year in learning to love myself, because you just become a magnet for that kind of, like, what you put into your body, it radiates, and the universe brings it back to you.
Girl.
So like, that would be the biggest thing, is that, like, I'm not here to be you. I'm here to be me.
No.
And I love you, and I can appreciate everything about these beautiful girls on Instagram or whatever, but it doesn't have to take away from the way that I feel about myself.
Girl, no, it does not. Shit, girl. Oh my God. Yes, and especially for me being now in New York, in the city, and everyone's like a beautiful 10 model. It's like, I don't need one. I'm not here to be you, and I'm not here to serve anyone else. Like, I'm here to show up as myself authentically. And listeners, Madie is so fucking right. Like, on a different level, we're working on a high vibration. When you put that love and energy to yourself, oh, bitch, it's magnetized. It is so magnetized. The way your life just opens and abundantly, and connections. And even like last year being so hard and difficult, I was starting Black Girl Can't Cook, and I was putting myself out there, the tears and the cellulite and all. And it just magnetized. And I love that. Yeah, you've been able to bring so many built new connections and new friendships, even us getting reconnected. It's so, listeners, it's so empowering. And then two, like for me, oh, you'll never go back. Like, I will never go back to 21-year-old Brianna, or shit, even 25-year-old Brianna on the bullshit before the pandemic. You won't go back, because this new love and appreciation for yourself is so deep, and it's just radiated. And you know what else too? It's like reflected, Madie. You get to see it. Like for me, I see it in like the kindness that happens in New York or at the bodega. Like, it's just reflected. And then as that moment happens, I'm like, wow, the universe has me. We're on it. And let's just keep following this path of love to self, because it has to start with you. It has to.
Exactly. Yeah, you nailed it. That's it.
It has to. So let's wrap up a little. I'm so happy to have met you and known you this whole time. And we're both Arizona girls. Shout out. We love.
Ooh.
But if there was one thing you could tell like your 16-year-old self or 17-year-old self about your body, what would you tell yourself in regards to taking care of it? Or like just anything. If there's just one thing you could tell yourself.
Oh God. These questions always, I have two sides of the coin. I'm like, okay, this is what I would tell myself, but also I wouldn't want to change the way that I got to where I am. But like, if I could have imparted some wisdom on my 16-year-old self, it would be that you don't have to change. Like, you don't have to fit the mold. Be different. Be different. Holy shit, be different. Like, you don't have to fit in with this group of people that you really don't align with. You don't have to. Boys don't matter. Boys in high school don't matter. It doesn't matter who likes you and who doesn't like you. Like, just like, God, I would tell her to love herself, but that's such a loaded thing to say to a 16-year-old. They're like, what does that even mean?
I know.
Like, my 16-year-old self would have looked at my 25-year-old self and be like, you crazy bitch. Like,
she would have been like, fuck you. Where's my Twinkie?
But she would have also been like, I love to think about this. Like, if if my 25-year-old self could meet my 16-year-old self, my 16-year-old self would be like, I want what she's having. Like whatever she does, I want to grow up to be her. And that feeling just gives me so much joy. And if I saw my 16-year-old self, I would just want to wrap her up and like hold her. Because when I was 16, shit was hard. Like
So
my
hard.
family was divorcing, my dad was getting remarried, I had new siblings, and
Mm-hmm.
I just felt lost in the mud. And just like, I would have said to her, like, you can be the support that you need right now. There it is.
Oh
That's
my
what it is. You
God.
can be the support that you need right now. Like you have it. And I'm gonna cry. Like,
I
because
know.
that's all I needed. I needed a parent. I needed someone to tell me it was okay. Like,
Yeah.
and to give me that strength, because I just felt like in quicksand. I was just like
Yeah.
sinking, and like
Yeah.
that's what I would have said. That got heavy,
Oh.
but like there it
No,
is.
we love heaviness on this podcast. Oh my God, Maddie. And to what you said in the beginning, I wanted to cry because oh my God, my inner child almost felt that like, you don't have to fit the mold. You
Oh
do
my God.
not. Listeners, where we grew up, oh my God, it was only one mold. It was like every white girl
One.
well, every white girl living in Seville and being with having money and having boyfriends and having Range Rover. It was just such a fucked up place to grow up in. And thank you so much for sharing that because shit, 16 was hard. It was so hard. And even like Queen Beyonce says, listeners, at some point, you have to learn to mother yourself.
Oh my God.
And Maddie, I love what you touched on. And I would just hug, yeah, I would hug 16
I
year
would
old.
just grab her like, oh my God.
I would just grab her and hold that bitch tight. And two, I let this question I never want it to be like to go back and change because our lives happen exactly as they happen. And those challenges and chapters, oh no, I'd keep them. I don't want to change, rewrite the book, but it's so interesting. Like, I think, oh, what you said, I think 16-year-old Brie would not believe 26-year-old Brie. She'd be shitting herself if she saw, she'd be like, who is this? Like, what? What? Like, and that gives me,
Right.
I'm like, oh my God, my former shadow lower self is just so in awe and so happy of how far we've come and what we're doing. And the work is still there and it's going to still continue. But wow, bitch. Yeah, I would hug her. I would hug
Oh, yeah.
her. Oh my God.
God knows she needed a hug.
She needed a hug, Maddie. Oh my goodness. This interview has been one of my top 5. So
Oh my God,
incredible.
thank you.
No, thank you for being so open. And wait, you are into like crystals and tarot cards. Okay.
I'm holding my little blue lace agate right now. This is my throat
Your
chakra, so
throat
I can tell.
chakra. Yes.
I've been clutching it the whole time.
Yes. No, let's, girl, I'm all for blue chakra. One, because like blue's the color, and my mom is blue, a huge master
I
suite.
can see. I
And
love it.
two, it's blue because listeners, as women and as women that have come from where we come from, mental health, ED, recovery, you have to learn how to use your voice, and that takes
Oh
time
yeah.
too. So I would just recommend a lot of inward time, a lot of questioning yourself, a lot of journals. Tell us, wait, what are your top 2 favorite stones? Okay, you said the blue.
Oh, favorite stones. Okay, so I have my crystals here.
Yes, tell us.
I love selenite. I just feel like selenite is one of my favorites. I love looking at it. Like
It's
my thing when
beautiful.
I'm picking out crystals, oh yeah, it's like this, it's gorgeous. When I'm picking out crystals, I like to look at them without even knowing what they do, just like what feels like I want it. Like what do I need in my house? Like I
Oh,
have this orange calcite that is just, it looks like joy in a ball to me, and I'm like, oh my God, I love that one. Like that's what I do when I pick out my crystals, is like what's going to bring me happiness to have in my house. So I love my selenite. I just feel connected and aligned, and it really helps like clear the energy in the space, clear your chakras,
mhm.
open up your channels to receive inspiration and intuition. I love amethyst is another great one. Like it
Um,
helps, again, channeling intuition. Like
mhm,
I love things that bring me to myself. And then I also have a couple that like help me feel connected to source and
mhm.
help me to receive like messages, or again, I mean, I guess
Downloads.
it's all
Yes.
intuition. Yeah, downloads. Like I have Mystic Merlinite, which is like a little black one, and then I have what's it called? Angel Aura quartz. That
Uh-huh.
one's another gorgeous one. Like I have quite a few, and I just use them for different things. Like whatever I'm feeling like I'll grab one and I'll just hold it and like keep it in my pocket for the day, or like keep it in my book bag with me. Like, I use them for a lot of different things, and I absolutely I'm the little weirdo.
I love it. No, I love you. And girl, I'm stealing that because I've done like some research and knowledge on crystals, but I'm such a visual and colors and I just love when I go to crystal shop, I will just see what comes to me. And I love starting there
Exactly.
because listeners, it's like your soul really knows. You really do know
Just let your intuition guide you with in all things. You don't need to know what the crystals do. You're gonna pick up the crystal that you
that you
need.
need.
Like if you look at it and you pick it up and it feels like, oh my God, I would just like burst with joy looking at this in my window every day. Like, get that fucking crystal. One you need.
Yes. That's
Exactly.
it. Incredible, incredible. And two, they're just such a great way to, I love what you said, open channels, clear energy, and babysitting for all these like nice, rich white parents on the Upper East Side. I'd see like these crystals and things like even like 2 years ago. And now that it's such a thing, I'm like, oh wow, that is there in the house as a center point. And it just
Yeah.
and it's so
It's
beautiful.
it's
Listeners,
so
it's
nice.
so
Yeah.
beautiful. And I love that you were holding that blue. I wear a lot of blue too, just so
Oh,
I
I'm
can
yeah.
yeah, just so I can always, okay, how can I show up today? And one, just as women, as people, how can I speak up for myself? Because no one's going to be your own advocate. That's why you have to be your best friend, your best confidant, and your advocate. And sometimes your own mother, as painful as that is.
Mm-hmm.
I love
Exactly.
it. Madie,
Thank
where
you.
can all my listeners follow you, find you, and where's your blog at?
Okay, so my blog is rootedintheclouds.com. Just simple, easy. Oh, what's my Instagram right now? It's Madie Schlag, Schlag on Instagram. Those are the only two places I am. I'm not really anywhere else.
You don't gotta be. There's just so much. Oh my God, the technology these days. Just have your home page have your home spaces. And two, it's like for me, I don't feel the need of pressure. If others need 8 of the pages and things, great.
I
But
don't
for
need the
me,
Twitter. I don't need the no. I don't need the
no,
TikTok. Just keep it simple.
keep
Instagram and my blog.
love it. I love it. And two, because for me, y'all, we were inside for a year. I want to be off my phone. I saw on your IG
Oh my God.
you guys went hiking, camping, you went to Sedona, and just
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I want to no phone. We've done it for a year. Like, let's just no, And two, I think social media is gonna like kids are forgetting how to socialize. I think that's why now too it's so like anxiety, like, oh my God, going back outside and how do I talk? But no, just
Yeah,
off the social and more in real life contact. I love
exactly. Yep.
it.
Live your life.
Live your life. Madie, thank you so much for coming on. You guys, thank you. Rate and review the episode if you loved it. And I'll see you next week. Bye, Madie.
Bye. Thank you.